Hi, Sebastien. Thank you very much for joining us on another episode of Executive Insights. It's great to see you today.
Hey, hi Kevin. Super happy to be there today and to talk with you about digital transformation.
Speaking of digital transformation, I know Dell has a digital transformation index survey that they do every couple of years, and the new one just came out. So, when I start off, I looked at this, and it's a great, survey. There's a couple of surprising things that came from this, in my opinion. So, we just have been through with COVID. Everybody seems to agree it's driven and accelerated digital transformation for customers in our industry. And in fact, the survey says 80% of the businesses fast-tracked at least some of their programs this year. And so that's not surprising. The thing I'd like to get your comment on is only 40% of them say that they did all or most, which means 60% of our customers did not do the majority of their digital transformation projects, it seems. I mean, what is the barrier when we've just been through, if anything could accelerate digital transformation? How is it we sit here? There must have been some significant barriers. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So first of all, as you said, it's the third time that we run this digital transformation index. So it gives us a very good vision of typically how the market did accelerate during COVID. We, as an industry, all say today that COVID has been an accelerator. It's super important, and we are lucky enough to have this study to put some numbers. Then the barriers. First barrier, of course, is the focus that any company had to put on remote working and security, which are top number one and number two transformation. So on top of that, major barrier is data privacy and security. So that's the number one for worldwide. It's also the number one for US. It's strange enough. It's only number 6 for EMEA, but that's mostly thanks to the GDPR that we have in place. So let's say people see those data privacy and security concerns behind the regulations, and so that's why the regulations are higher in EMEA than what they are in the US. So that was a clear vision of I would say the interest and the benefit of having GDPR in Europe. So that's pretty good for us. Number two in the barrier, of course, lack of budget. We've been in a very specific year in 2020. We all know that the investments has been for some of our customers closed or moved to other priorities. Once again, such as remote working, that came number one priority for anybody. And number three, that drives a lot of people crazy. It's the fact that the customers say that's what they say. They are unable to extract enough value or insights from the data and the information they have. So you can it's the half full or half empty glass. Okay, half full would say very encouraging. We have more and more information, so that's super encouraging. Half empty would be what the we have those information and we don't know how to extract good stuff or insights. But let's say that's also encouraging because there's more to do for us, in the industry to help our customer to deal with those informations.
Yeah, and that's if I catch it's a really interesting fine point is that the data privacy concerns were number one, but it was less so in EMEA, and you're attributing that largely to GDPR. So the government's regulations there, you're perceiving are helping with alleviating that concern. Lack of budget and resources. I've never met an IT department that feels like they had too much budget and too much resources. So that's not too surprising. But I agree with you. I mean, the fact that people, I talk to people all the time and they keep saying, I need more data. I need more information. And the problem is we haven't yet as an industry given them the right tools to get the valuable insights that they need. So did I understand did I capture that correctly?
Yeah, definitely. It's a flood of data. Too much data coming, and it's only the beginning. We all know that. We know that edge is knocking at the door. So we need to help in the industry or customer to extract value from their data, definitely.
So, and you kind of touched on edge, and there is some in the transformation index. Just reading from this, current IT investments, 69% of the survey said in the next 1 to 3 years they plan on making investments in the edge. I mean, that's an incredibly high number if you think about it, 70%.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, what is the edge? I ask everybody this question, and I don't get the same answer. You work for Dell. You talk to a lot of people. What do they mean when they say edge? Do we even have a definition?
Yeah, so the definition where let's say majority of people end is edge is a place where out of data center where data is created first of all, and needs to be run and exploited in short, if not real time. So saying so, we say that the data is created and you need to have it and to exploit it and to use it locally. And the fact that you need to use it short or real time, avoid you to go away in a data center, in a far distance data center or in the cloud because of the law of physics that would increase the response time. So that's for me, I would say the more opening definition of edge. Then you have multiple examples. So one of the most used example is the autonomous car. We could also extend it to the autonomous boat. I had an EBC last week with a customer, providing connectivity solutions and network solutions for boats. And they had more problems, saying that, when you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean, you definitely don't have the same connectivity. You definitely don't have the same bandwidth that when you are, on the ground. So that adds more difficulties. Of course, it's not only I would say moving objects that can be edge. Digital factories are a perfect example with all the IoT, industrial IoT, all those captors that are somewhere in the factory, and that helps you to get real-time insights. So typically, using those technologies, we've been able in Dell to increase 20% the result of our factory on the PCs. Being able using those objects and fast high-speed cameras to remove from the building chain PCs that were having defaults very early in the process and much early in the process that if you end with let's say a finalized product and you need to go through the quality improvement process. So that's a perfect example, those digital factories. Then you have all the industries as an example, where you produce any electricity as an example. With the wind turbines and so all those objects today need to be connected and once again need to exploit the data they create real time in order to get better results and to improve themselves. So that's the definition of edge.
It's interesting because you mentioned a few times in there is that real-time application, right? And that actually came out in the transformation index where 28% of the respondents said real-time applications at the edge, not just edge, but real-time applications. They actually were explicit on that topic. So that's pretty interesting. And one of the things that we're observing is you mentioned digital factory, and it is interesting. We've seen applications of people using high-speed cameras and AI in order to help with quality control. And you mentioned that like 20% increase in productivity with some of these applications, I think, when you're saying. One of the challenges that we see, though, is that now I need to be putting IT maybe on the factory floor. I need to be putting it in places that I haven't done before. And Dell and Schneider are working together to help solve that problem by coming up with maybe more resilient solutions that can be impervious to dust and impervious to some of the environment they might see. Do you see that also as a barrier? Is that IT is going into places that it hasn't gone before?
So I would not call that a barrier. I would call that more an opportunity for people like Dell and people like Schneider who are able to provide a regularized environment. So of course using one of your racks, regularized rack, let's say a standard product can be ruggedized because it will be protected by the rack. But you don't need a rack in every places. So this is why we provide an end-to-end solution in Dell, coming from the ruggedized PCs to the ruggedized servers, and so for us definitely it's an opportunity. So it's a very typical market, but once you're in, it's a fantastic opportunity for us.
That's great. Yeah, well, we all need to work together to help our customers, I guess. So I'm curious, as a technology guy, like, I've heard a lot about hyperconvergence over the last few years, and there's, I think you and I were speaking earlier, and there's somebody who says hyperconvergence is the perfect for any application. Apparently, give me some more insights. Is hyperconvergent technology and the edge, is that synonymous? Is that two separate things? How does hyperconvergence play in this edge computing topic?
Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about hyperconvergence. So we see more and more scalability of those products. So they become more and more popular because they are able to host more and more large applications. So now let's say, apart from a central data center from a Fortune 500, where very specific, because of the size of the applications and the complexity of those applications and number of current users and so on, may still pledge for, let's say, traditional or regular converged infrastructure. Let's say, apart from those very specific environments, today, thanks to the scalability and to the progress the market have made on hyperconverged, more or less any kind of environment could run on hyperconverged. And edge is a perfect candidate. Most of the time, when you talk about edge, you talk about multiple sites. You talk about multiple sites that necessarily are not the same size. So you may have a very small bench of very small remote site, a bench of medium remote sites, and so on. So this is where hyperconverged, thanks to the scalability it offers, can be a perfect fit, because it will be the same solution but with a different scale that is put in place in each location. So that means a unique solution. That means ease of use, ease of deploy, ease of manage from a central place. So that's key. What we say in Dell Technologies is, we always talk about, private cloud, public cloud. Finally, what we see with edge is an extension of this cloud. So everything is to be seen as a cloud. So the edge, the private cloud, and the public cloud can now be, managed centrally from a single point. With a single tool, typically in Dell Technology, thanks to VMware and VMware products that help us to get this vision.
Yeah, so it's interesting that the definition of the cloud versus edge. What I hear you saying is it's the cloud and the edge, and it's all kind of one big hybrid IT infrastructure, so to speak. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair, and that's typically the value proposition of Dell Technology is saying to the customers, manage that as a single large hybrid cloud environment, rather than saying I'm managing edge or some edge number one, edge number two, and so on. Then manage your data center, and then manage your public cloud. Let's use that as a big single point of management as a big hybrid cloud. It always needs to communicate, exchange data, but what's most important is the ease of deploy and the ease of management.
So yeah, ease of deployment, ease of management. This is interesting because it kind of points towards, obviously it makes the management challenge easier if things are standardized, and hyperconvergence certainly helps you. Hyperconverged solutions certainly help standardize what you're deploying in terms of at least the physical and the IT infrastructure. Now, what's interesting is I had another executive insight session I did, and the guests there had this theory that actually what happened is everything is disaggregated, and that one of the roles they do is that they bring it back together so that we can, and we work with this company, so that they can bring it back together and ship it as a standard solution. But it's actually been an exercise of disaggregating and reaggregating. So is he just wrong in your opinion, or is there two models of hyperconverged and maybe more traditional that needs to be assembled? How do you see hyperconverged maybe versus more traditional infrastructure?
So first of all, let's say the general comment about disaggregating, reintegrating, and so on. We all know that it's a cycle, and it's like the fashion. It's a cycle. So maybe if we see in a few years, we will have large ties and very short and so on. Because it's a cycle. IT is in that integration and disintegration, but definitely, what makes the hyperconverge important is the link that is made with software. I said earlier that the ease of manage is mostly thanks to the VMware tools that allow to manage any location, any type of cloud. Don't forget that the VxRail, which is the Dell Technologies hyperconverged offering, is based on VMware itself. So that's definitely the state of the art in a software-defined data center. And it removes the value from the hardware and gives more and more value to the software and allows to use let's say standard hardware such as servers. If you look at what is the hardware for hyperconverge, those are just x86 servers. The beauty of that, as I said earlier, is that you can scale by adding servers, but you can also reuse servers from one project to the other one, and not only a single storage area or large dedicated server to like we had in early of the 20s. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm hearing you say is it's really about the software, almost kind of let's call it software defined. That's a very trendy term in the industry right now. But being able to leverage VMware, have a software defined solution gives you a lot more flexibility with the hardware and much better scalability. Did I understand what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think in some ways maybe customers embrace some of these technologies too quickly? Particularly around like hybrid cloud, have they moved too fast? Is that why we're seeing some of these problems that have come up? What's your perspective?
Yeah, that's the analysis we are doing in Dell Technologies for years, and for the last 3, 4, 5 years, we told our customer, yes, use the public cloud, but use it cautiously. So look very carefully what you put there in terms of SLAs, in terms of security, in terms of compliance, in terms of money. And billing, let's say what you've just described is what is called the cloud repatriation, where people have been maybe too fast, maybe too far in their use of public cloud, and they readjust what they are doing. So not saying that they will stop using a public cloud. It's a fantastic offering. It's great for what is worth to put there. So definitely what we provide in terms of vision and use for in Dell Technologies. First of all, make the study and look carefully in your applications. Which one are those who needs to stay in a private cloud? Which one are those who maybe move to a public cloud? And what are the adaptations that you need to do in those applications and the inter-applications communications to put there and make it worse to put them in the public cloud, and then help the customers to do the connection and move the data. So that's a more let's say regularized process. Where what we have seen, as you said earlier in the past, is people running to the public cloud, saying it's a gold rush once again, and definitely what we see now is people get more reasonable.
So Dell is trying to be reasonable with customers and trying to help them understand where do they need to be in this hybrid environment. Is that a good summary? You're the reasonable company. That's what I just heard you say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We've covered a lot here in terms of just, so first of all, customers at least think the edge is real, right? They think it's about real-time applications. We talked about, what are the solutions, and they need to be simpler and more software defined in order to make that a reality. And certainly we're doing a lot of work, Schneider with Dell, to try and make it even easier for customers to deploy IT in whatever form they want, wherever they want. Um, is there anything else that we missed here? Because it sounds like, software defined, a lot about manageability, a lot about simplification in order to enable the edge. Is there anything else that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, yes, of course. We touch very slightly, the data management problems. We touch very slightly the AI and ML, which are super important in the edge, because you won't have an administrator or someone who need to analyze the data, etc., in each of your edge locations. AI and ML are super important for the development of the edge, and of course we won't have the time today to talk about security. What we think in Dell Technology is that security must be everywhere, but it must be smoothly integrated in each of the elements, and not on top of a global architecture. You're not thinking you are building your architecture and then on top of that you put security. Security must be everywhere, must be most of the time automated. So this is where the link is also done with AI and ML. More and more, AI and ML will allow to have, once again, real-time security reactions, real-time security analytics. So security is super important now. What we have seen in the Dell Technology Index is, number one investment is remote working, and number two is security. So security is more than ever super important for any customer.
So we got to build with security in mind. And it sounds like we're going to need a whole bunch of data scientists to help us with AI and ML in order to really make artificial intelligence and machine learning to make all of this really a reality. So that's a fantastic takeaway. So Sebastien, thank you very much for your time. We really enjoyed it and appreciate it.
My pleasure.